Good evening, Rian Kutsie from Fortis Proactive Defense Solutions in Pretoria. Tonight I'm speaking to Roux Wildenboer again, one of the main instructors on the loan operator course. And tonight we will be talking a little bit about something a lot of people talk about, but I doubt very many people actually do. Dry firing. Roux, welcome.
Thank you, Rian. Great to talk to you again.
Let's kick off. I want to ask you, why is it that, what makes it so important that so many firearms instructors emphasize dry fire practice as an essential part of handgun training?
So when we shoot a handgun, we want to be reliable and accurate and fast, and we want to be reliable and accurate and fast on demand. And the only way to do that is to teach your body, your subconscious, how to do certain actions without thinking about it. If you have to think about and analyze and plan every draw stroke and every mag change that you do, you're going to waste too much time. And that simply means that your body doesn't really know what it's doing. It's not a habit. It's not what you call muscle memory. Now, many people will say, well, your muscles don't really have memory. And we agree. The word is just muscle memory because it's a series of actions that's programmed into your subconscious brain that you can do without thinking about it. So say, for instance, drawing the firearm, doing mag changes, squeezing the trigger, all of those kind of things need to happen without you actively thinking about it. So it goes into your subconscious mind. Doing dry fire at home allows you the opportunity for absolutely no money at all. It's got absolutely no cost except a little bit of time. And for that little bit of time, you get the opportunity to repeat the same correct actions, hopefully, and we'll get to that in a second. But you can get so many repetitions in that ultimately your body doesn't know how to do it wrong. There's the saying that, I didn't think it out. There's the saying that the guys that are the best, they don't train until they get it right. They train until they can't get it wrong. And that's the crux of this.
Okay.
Of this issue is that later your draw stroke becomes so natural to you. Let's take draw stroke, for example. Your draw stroke becomes so natural to you that it almost feels weird when you get it wrong. It's such an instinctive thing to you. It's like opening the door or unlocking your car. It becomes something that's natural to you. And dry fire, the big benefit is you are in the comfort of your own home. And if you're in the right mindset, then you can get so many repetitions in. It's really limitless how many repetitions you can get in. And that can make you a really consistent shooter in a very short period of time.
Okay. Well, I wanted to ask you next about advantages and disadvantages. I don't know if you can come up with any more advantages. I think you've listed the main ones, unless there are more that you can think of. And also add potential disadvantages, if any.
So there are a couple more advantages. If you start thinking about dry fire in a tactical sense, and we spoke about the word tactical a little bit on a different video. But what dry firing does is it gives you the opportunity to stay in contact with your firearm more frequently. So very few shooters get a chance to get to a live shooting range every day, but you can dry fire every day. So there's a frequency aspect to this as well. If it were just about repetitions, then you could go to a live shooting range on a Saturday and do 1 million, let's call it 1 million. You can do 1 million repetitions of a certain action, but for the next week or 2 weeks, you don't touch your firearm again. And that's not ideal. But if you do 10 or 20 repetitions of, say, drawing or doing a mag change every day, then you stay in practice better. And if you think about you getting dressed in the morning and what your routine is, and you're getting ready for the day, physically as well as mentally, then doing a couple of dry fires in the morning before you go out and do your job or you go on a hike, or you go to the movies, or whatever it is that you're doing, it means that your body in that day has already done that action, which means the second or third, or if during the course of the day you are forced to draw your firearm in self-defense, then that action isn't unfamiliar to you. You didn't do it 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
You did it that morning. You saw your sight picture that morning, not 2 or 3 days ago, not a week ago on the shooting range. So dry firing is a big way to stay in contact with your gun more frequently every day, just little bit by little bit by little bit. Disadvantages, you can very easily, like with everything in shooting, you can do it wrong, and you can learn bad habits. So for many shooters, when we talk about dry firing, they sit in front of the couch and they just click, rack the gun, click, rack the gun, click, rack the gun, click. But their attention isn't really on what they are doing. They're watching a TV show, or they're talking to their wife, or they're actually thinking about what happened that day at work, and they're not focusing and spending enough of their mental attention on what they're busy doing with a firearm. And so you can teach your body the wrong things as well. So when you dry fire, you have to be completely focused, and you have to be in that mindset of absolute focus. And I am now basically trying to put my mind in that space where it's going to be if I have to respond to a lethal attack. So you have to dry fire with the same mental intensity as when you actually draw the gun and fire a live round on a shooting range, and with pressure on you.
Yep.
So a lot of guys waste a lot of time because they just don't, and they teach themselves bad habits because they dry fire, just because the instructor said to dry fire. So they're just working in rack the gun, click, rack the gun, click. And that's bad. You can teach yourself bad habits doing that as well.
So I want to ask you about suggested frequency of dry firing. I know you're going to say daily, but obviously not everybody can make that. So what would you say if you can't do it daily? What should you aim for? And how many dry fire shots per session would you say is a good average that you can keep learning?
Sure. The first question is difficult because, as you rightly say, I'm going to tell you do it every day. If you can't do it every day, then do it as often as you can. We do get in contact with many clients and many students that actually spend time abroad. So they travel during the week and they're unable to take their firearm with them. So in those cases, you have to make do with what you have. I mean, your scenario and your situation is unique to you, and you can't dry fire if you don't have your handgun. So I would say if you can't do it every day, do it as frequently as you can. Try and get, certainly over the weekend, try and sort of make up for a little bit of lost time, but certainly 2 or 3 or 4 times a week, if not daily. If you can't do it daily, do it every second day. And like I said, for people who travel and in the mining industry, a lot of guys spend the week on site and then weekends they're home. I mean, when you're home on weekends, then do your dry firing then, and then do it with intent and with focus, and spend some real time on that. The second question is how many shots per dry fire session, and there's no correct answer to this. I've got a little bit of an unpopular opinion. I would say if you are in the correct mindset and you're focusing and you do 5 dry fire repetitions, I would say that that's got more value to you than doing 1,000 dry fire repetitions just to get it over with. And you're thinking about something else, you're actually busy with something else, and you're not concentrating on what you're doing. So your actions are sloppy, your footwork is sloppy, your mag changes don't come as smoothly as they might have if you had just been concentrating that little bit. So there's no optimal. I mean, obviously, the more repetitions, the better, right? I mean, the more you repeat something correctly, the faster it's going to go into your muscle memory. But there's no golden answer. I would say rather, if you feel you are losing concentration or your focus is slipping, then stop. Don't carry on just needlessly squeezing the trigger. I would say if you have very little time in the morning, when I get dressed in the morning, I do 2 or 3 or 4 draw, present, see my sight picture, squeeze the trigger. That's what I do every morning when I get dressed. I work on my mag changes, not necessarily every day. And maybe every 3rd or 4th day, I work some mag changes. I work some malfunction drills. But drawing and presenting, clearing my garment, drawing and presenting is a daily thing for me. But then not 1,000 times. Like I say, when I get dressed, 2 or 3 or 4 times until I'm happy that I'm comfortable and I'm smooth and I'm reliable. And then when I get home and I undress again, 2 or 3 or 4 times, just clear the garment, draw, present, get a sight picture, squeeze the trigger with an unloaded gun, of course. And then I would say on a daily basis for someone with a tight schedule, I would say that's enough. When you are actively working to upskill yourself, when you are actively working to gain a lot of skills and to become a very good shooter in a very short time, then you're going to have to bump those numbers up. But to maintain a certain skill level, I would say, 10 reps a day, if your mind is there, then that would probably be enough.
Okay, so bottom line is do it as regularly as you can, daily if you can, and
Correct.
always do it with full focus and full intent. And there's no need to do 100 shots. Five or so will do the trick if you focus.
But game face. Then you visualize what you're going to do. You think about what it is that you're doing. And then, of course, if you do your 5 or 6 repetitions and you feel uncomfortable and you see something isn't working, then you have to commit to fix it in the moment and then do a couple more just so that your body is used to doing a correct repetition before you go out and do your daily things. You have to be comfortable with that 5 or 6 dry fires that you do. And if you're not, and you fumble or you do something wrong, then you have to say, okay, listen, I'm going to take 5 minutes longer. I'm going to get this right because I can't afford going out to the movies or to the shops or wherever, and this isn't sorted out. That's what I would say.
In what way does dry firing enhance my shooting skills and my firearm handling skills?
Oh, there's tremendous benefit. If you dry fire with the correct intent, then your recoil management becomes better. Your the rapidity, how quickly you can shoot and remain on target becomes very good. I mean, for me personally, there's a massive benefit in how quickly I pick up my sights. So how quickly I pick up my sight picture and how quickly I can get an acceptable sight picture for a specific target. If I dry fire frequently, then I pick up my sights much faster. If I spend 2 or 3 weeks not touching my firearm, not seeing my sights, then at the next opportunity when I do draw my firearm, then my sights aren't aligned. I'm surprised and it's unfamiliar how my sight picture looks. I mean, of course, cognitively, you know what your sight picture looks like, but you do lose that intuitive comfort with how good is a good sight picture. And so for me, a lot of the value of dry fire lies in that visual recognition of, yes, this is a good sight picture, and then letting the finger work at the moment that I have accepted that sight picture is good enough, and then doing. So even though there isn't physical recoil coming back at you from the gun, if you dry fire with a correct grip, correct stance, it does help recoil as well. And then it comes back to the key that I want to bring home here is you have to dry fire with that game face, with that intent and with that intensity. Then if you dry fire with the correct grip, recoil control gets better in the day. If you dry fire frequently, you recognize your sight picture faster. You get faster splits on your shots. You get faster times from drawing to when your first shot hits the target. Dry fire has got so many advantages. It makes you a very good overall. I mean, if you think people who dry fire their mag changes a lot, they do mag changes in the blink of an eye. And I mean, I would to every shooter say that doing a magazine change without thinking about it accurately and reliably every time, that's something that can save your life. I mean, too many guys fumble on the mag change specifically, or fumble with something around their gun. Gun handling, I mean, that becomes fantastic with dry firing just because you've got the gun in your hand more often. So it feels more familiar. So you're less freaked out by it at the moment that you do draw it and you have to fire a shot in defense of your own life. So no, it's so many advantages.
Can dry firing in any way damage my firearm? And if so, what can I do to prevent that? In the long run.
Yeah, for many, and this comes from rimfire rifles and rimfire cartridges that have a different design of their striker or their firing pin, where it is recommended not to dry fire unnecessarily, because you can actually fatigue and break that firing pin or that striker. With modern handguns, semi-automatic pistols, I am not aware of any fatigue or anything that can break with dry fire. I can't speak for every firearm out there. I can't speak for every type of modification or modified firing pin or striker or spring or trigger mechanism that you may have put into your gun. And I'm also not a gunsmith. So, but in my experience with modern self-defense handguns, there's really not much that can go wrong. If you are hesitant, or you do feel that you want to protect against something, you can use what I call dummy rounds or snap caps, which are specifically designed. If you talk about snap caps, they're designed to absorb some of that vibration and some of that impact of the striker or the firing pin coming forward. Then you're more than welcome to look at something like that. They're not too expensive. But other than that, make sure that when you dry fire, as with live fire shooting, your gun is lubricated properly. And when we talk about lubrication, not aerosol, oily type sprays, that's corrosion protection, and it's got a place as well. But when we talk lubrication, we want something with a greasy, thick, jelly-like consistency, which is good. So, I mean, if once you start running the dry fire repetitions, the handgun is going to pick up wear on the normal places where it will wear anyway during live fire. So make sure that it is lubricated properly as you dry fire, because otherwise it may pick up wear.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Ruby, while we're on that point, can we maybe just run through those 4 golden firearm safe tools again?
That's right, 100%. So the first one is always treat your firearm as if it is loaded. So even though you are dry firing at home and you've checked that the gun is safe 1,000,000 times, treat it as if it is loaded. Okay, when you pick it up, it's loaded. When you dry fire, treat it as if it's loaded. The second one is don't point the firearm at anything that you don't want to destroy. So be muzzle conscious. And this is where you don't dry fire, of course, at people or other inhabitants of your household. That's a big no-no. Remember, anything that you teach yourself at home, this is the crux of dry fire, is if you teach yourself at home that it is okay to dry fire at people, then that kind of mindset is going to carry itself through to your attitude on the range as well. Okay, so be very mindful at what you aim at home when you dry fire. And we always try and tell the students, don't dry fire at televisions, dry fire at light switches or pot plants. Okay. The third one is finger off the trigger until you are ready to fire. And this means when you are dry firing, you have to remain disciplined with your trigger finger as well. That means every time that you break out of the shot or you break out of the sight picture, finger off the trigger. Your trigger finger goes into register to the side of the firearm. And this means finger out of the trigger guard and off the trigger. Okay, that doesn't mean it's in the trigger guard, but it's sort of not really applying much pressure. That to me is still on the trigger. Okay, so off the trigger and out of the trigger guard. The fourth one and the last one is know your target and what's beyond it. Okay, so remain mindful that accidents do happen, and that when you dry fire, you try and dry fire with the live ammunition as far away from the handgun as possible. Okay, so when you dry fire at things, always be mindful. It doesn't matter whether it's the 1,000,000th time, you are still capable of making a mistake. You are still capable of dry firing while you are thinking about something else and making a mistake. It's in the moment that you think you are better than making a mistake, you are too good to make a mistake, that the mistake happens. Okay, so always be mindful that you can make a mistake. You are just human. So don't dry fire at something like a drywall. Don't dry fire at something that if something like that happens, you're shooting at a wall, something that can stop that projectile. Okay, never become lax, never become blasé, never become overconfident and overcomfortable with your firearm. So those are the 4. So when you dry fire, keep the live ammunition away. When you dry fire, don't point at something or someone. Very importantly, don't point at someone, and don't point at something that is going to cost you thousands of rands to replace. Very experienced, very, very proficient shooters have made mistakes with accidental discharges during dry firing before. Never think you are above that. Okay, so live ammunition as far away as possible.
You are looking at one.
I mean, it's not supposed to happen, but we are human. We are not robots. Accidents can happen, and they will happen.
Yes. Roux, I thank you. I think that covers the topic quite substantially, and I hope anybody who have been watching this video got something worthwhile out of it. And if you did, please click that like and subscribe button. Help us grow the channel so we can reach ever more people. Roux, thank you.
Perfect.
And we will talk again soon. Have a good evening.
100%, Rian. Nice talking to you. Have a lovely evening.